What's that? Who there? Whoa.
The kind of the science around breath work. So for me, anecdotally, I read James Nestor's book and I did like Wim Hof plus meditation for 45 days in a row, and I've never felt better, right? Sadly, I got a puppy and lost the discipline when I was waking up at 6 a.m. And I hate myself every day for that because I really want to get back into it. But, for people who don't understand what's happening when you're doing breath work, or like they've heard of Wim Hof, but they haven't tried it, can you just first go in before we get into the company to like the science behind breath work and actually what's happening that's creating, the beneficial aspects of doing it?
100%. So I'll give a short intro and you can double click on whatever you want to go into more depth. And so it's kind of like, hey, well, what's happening with breath work? It's like, well, what's happening with exercise? And, within exercise, there's like cardio and strength and mobility. And so just like that in breath work, there's many different modalities and many different reasons you might do it. And these are ancient practices, like thousands of years old, like pranayama and yoga is, beginning of time kind of thing. And so one thing to remember for people listening, first, we can just tune into our breath. So like we'll do a nice big inhale in 3, 2, 1 through the nose, into the belly, and then a nice slow exhale. And you can feel one single breath can change your state, one single breath, right? And so the breath is your ability to control your automatic nervous system. And so through breath, you can control your stress response, your heart rate, your circulation, the hormones released in your body, your immune system. And so there's basically 2 styles of breathing. One is pushing the gas pedal on the nervous system, which is what the Wim Hof is doing, is creating an adrenal effect, pushing you into what's called the fight or flight state. The other is pushing the brake on the nervous system, moving you into the rest and digest state. That's any breathing where you're extending the exhale, breathing deep into the diaphragm. So you've heard of like diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, slowing the exhale, box breathing. These are all examples of slowing the nervous system state to move you into rest and digest, sends blood flow to the organs, signifies you're safe, prepares you for sleep. That's the state of being you want to be in all the time. Notifications, like for you, even, a 3-minute breath work a couple times a day, fantastic, right? Like what's happened now, and this is why I went to the dark retreat, even knowing about these practices, but every time you're checking Slack, you're checking your phone, your brain doesn't know that's not real stress. It perceives these items as like stress, stimulation. What happens? Boom, fight or flight effect. Your body, you start breathing through your chest. You're breathing faster, which is fine for short periods of time. And like 20 years ago, we had far less stimulation. So we would live and breathe normally in the rest and digest system, which is where we're meant. Now, chronic diseases are being caused, like 8 out of 10 cancers, not enough blood flow to the organs. And it's a result of too much fight or flight, too much cortisol, too much overstimulation, just mostly from using the phone and then also from processed foods. So you read James Nestor's book. When you're eating, a Big Mac and acidic forming food, it's going to cause you to breathe out more carbon dioxide, breathe out from the chest, breathe through the mouth, which is whole another problem around foundational breathing. So I would think of breathwork, the science of I'm either turning down the system or turning up the system. Now, when I'm turning up the system, you'd say, well, why would I do that if I'm always in fight or flight? And this is the Wim Hof method. And so what's happening there, you're breathing out so much carbon dioxide through hyperventilation that the blood vessels start to constrict. And there's something called the Bohr effect. So imagine oxygen, a little like tiny ball coming into your lungs. It's being picked up in a truck, which is the red blood cell, and it's being delivered to, the heart, the brain, the tissues, and everything's all good. Now we start breathing too much CO2. We don't have enough carbon dioxide in our body. Imagine carbon dioxide is the lube that's allowing you to open the door in that truck, the oxygen to open the door in that truck and like get out where it's supposed to be delivered. And so what's happening when there's not enough carbon dioxide, oxygen's picked up, it's in the blood, it's coming to the heart. The oxygen, this little ball can't open the door, it can't get out, it can't get to the heart, the brain. And so the whole thing about James Nestor's book is like checking your CO2 tolerance, having enough CO2. It's like not mouth breathing at night, not mouth breathing when eating poor foods. So there's a bunch of techniques around that. And there's a simple score called a Bolt score that you can use to determine, it's not like perfect, but you can use it to determine your CO2 tolerance, how much CO2 you have in the body, how well you're processing oxygen. So now the Wim Hof style of breathing, you're actually doing this purposefully. You're getting rid of carbon dioxide. Your blood vessels are constricting, and you have trouble bringing oxygen to the brain. And that default mode network we had mentioned before, guess what? The same thing that's happening with psychedelics is happening in a deep state of meditation. It's also happening with breath work. This ego, and you felt this when you feel those tingles and this shutdown, and you feel space, that part of your brain is shutting down, which gives you the ability to process stored emotions. So that style, this Wim Hof style of breath work, it's creating an adrenal effect. It's sending blood flow to the brain initially. It's creating hormonal changes that are like, hey, be alert and aware. So people love it in the morning, kind of 10 minutes, 12 minutes. When you hit about 20 minutes of that Wim Hof style, you're actually shutting down prefrontal cortex and bringing up emotions. And so that style of breathwork is phenomenal for breakup, grief, loneliness. When you're facing these difficult challenges and you want some space to be able to process them. And I've seen like insane breakthroughs. Like, woman couldn't leave her house for the first 6 months of COVID. Legitimately 10 breathwork sessions. Like, she couldn't even go to the door to accept food from a delivery man because of the fear. Within 10 breathwork sessions, she messaged us, was out with a mask, like going around, like completely changed her life. So I think there's breathwork for relaxation, right? Improving sleep. There's breathwork for like ramping up your nervous system state for energy. There's breathwork for like full-blown emotional release. And then there's foundational breathing, which you should just be doing all the time to optimize the oxygen uptake of the body. So that's kind of an overview. Happy to go into any of those items if you'd like.